Hi, my name is Himanshu. Welcome to What It Takes. And today's date is going to be really exciting. I have invited some a personality who has experience in diverse areas of life, and we are in for a treat today. Let me introduce. He's a mechanical engineer from NIT, an MBA graduate from Symbiosis. He has around 8 years of IT career. After which he moved on, and who wanted to really dictate his life. And that's how I put it. And trust me, currently he is impacting a lot of areas of his life, right? And first, he's a co-founder of Mandram, which is the platform to curate innovative ideas, insights, and concepts in native languages through inclusive, public discourse. He founded Gigyasa Consulting, and he's currently a principal consultant, offering consulting services in multiple domains. And now coming to his other areas of passion, he's a South Indian classical percussion artist since 19 years. He's a writer, blogger, a storyteller, and a story consultant. Guys, you are in for a wonderful storyline, and I'm glad to invite Venki Ramachandran on What It Takes. Hi, Venki.
Hi, Himanshu. How are you doing? Thank you for
I'm
having
doing
me.
great. Thank you so much. Nice to have you in our channel, first of all. And, I'm curious to know a lot about you and the way I went through your profile, stories after stories after stories. I can't get up and I can't get enough of it, right? I'm looking forward to hear a lot from you, but let us start from your background first.
Uh, well, I was born, brought up in a beautiful place called Mylapore,
Mm-hmm.
in the south of India. Mylapore has a very fascinating history that predates Chennai. Uh, you would find Mylapore's history being written in Portuguese, and when Huan Sang came in, there were
Wow.
references to Mylapore, and so
Mm-hmm.
it has a very fascinating and checkered history. And if you ever been to Chennai, there is a certain kind of cultural ethos that animates the life of Mylapore.
Mm-hmm.
So incidentally, I'm here right now in Mylapore. I'm talking to you from here. I've come
Wow.
here for vacation.
Okay.
Uh, so I was born, brought up in this place, and
Mm-hmm.
so that place shaped me in very interesting ways.
Mm-hmm.
It brought in a lot of emphasis on arts, on
Mm-hmm.
culture,
Mm-hmm.
on spirituality, on music, and so even though like most Indians, we do engineering to figure out what we want to do in life.
Correct.
So pretty much that was my case. So
Mhm.
I did all the usual things that one expects a middle class kid to do. Uh, go study, work hard, and study hard so that you get into engineering in top institutes of the
Correct.
country, and
Hmm.
then you're concerned about your future, so you end up doing one more MBA as if the masochism wasn't
Absolutely.
enough.
Right.
And once you do MBA, then you get into a job, and then you realize, okay, what am I doing in the first place?
Right.
So pretty much that was my story as well.
Mhm.
But yeah. Thankfully, I've not been taking career too seriously.
Okay.
So that gave me a lot of freedom to explore and play, and
Mhm.
yeah, so far it has taken me on interesting roads.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Venki, in fact, the kind of experience that you had since you left, working for somebody else, that is something that we are looking forward to extract today from you and
Hmm.
share it to the world of people that who want to do something of their own, first of all, because a lot of
Hmm.
people, India is definitely a country where a lot of self-employment potential is there, but the thing is,
Hmm.
most of them fail in the first hill itself, and that's where they don't know where to start or what mistakes to avoid, and that is what we are going to cater today. And hopefully we cover a lot of points today and grasp whatever you have experienced so far in the last 2 years.
Sure, happy to share.
Wonderful. To start with, like, what are the initiatives you have been, doing since 3 years now?
Uh, so it's been, I mean, just to set the record straight. So
Correct.
I quit my startup the startup that I was earliest working in September 2019.
Okay.
Which means practically I have a year or so when I've been happily unemployed. Uh, so yeah, so in the last 1 year of unemployment, I've been doing interesting things. I've been trying out few things, and I've been learning, getting my hands dirty, and all kinds of things.
Mhm.
So uh, so yeah, so prior to that, in yeah. So I just wanted to share that first in terms of
Absolutely.
just the timeline there. So 3 years
Right.
back, yes, 3 years back, I was in a startup which
Mhm.
was in agriculture.
Okay.
Uh, I realized that, having worked in the consulting industry and having served a lot of global clients, I realized that if there was one tough nut challenge for technology, it has to be in
Mhm.
agriculture, because that was the last
Right.
domain that was waiting to be digitalized.
Correct.
So I realized that is going to be my the best place to really test if I really know anything of worth.
Mhm. Mhm.
So with that intent, I decided to plunge into agriculture,
Okay.
and I learned few things, and I discovered a lot of interesting aspects that really made me realize that in technology is not even the ultimate solution for many problems in agriculture.
Right.
So which is why
Mhm.
I decided to quit my agri-tech startup that I was involved in,
Mhm.
and I decided to be an independent consultant where I
Mhm.
could work with different startups of different kinds, and not just
Mhm.
startups, large organizations as well,
Okay.
with whom I'm currently working on,
Uh-huh.
where I address various problems that are at an intersection of sociological problems and
Mhm.
technology and business models, and
Mhm.
a wide variety of areas there, which you can't neatly box them in one area called technology.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what I've been doing currently, among other things.
Okay. Right. So the firm that you have named is Kikyasa, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
So
what
Jigyasa is the
motivated?
name of the consulting firm that I've started. Yes.
All right. Okay. Okay. So what motivated you to first of all step into it full time? Because you already had a job and you already were kind of exploring, but what stepped you full time?
Uh, See, I was always curious. I mean, I
Mhm.
remember watching Masan movie,
Right.
uh, where there is a very beautiful episode towards the end where
Mhm.
the one of the character really tells that her quest for Jigyasa.
Mhm. Correct.
Actually, that was a very moving moment for me in the movie, and so since then I had kind of, I mean, I kind of grew up in, to give you a bit of a context there, I grew up in the southern part where although I learned Hindi, but
Mhm.
you are more often uh, comfortable speaking in English or in Tamil.
Right.
So while I learned Hindi when I went to all the way up to Gujarat for my
Mhm.
engineering, but
Mhm.
Hindi isn't so native to me.
Okay.
Uh, you know,
Correct.
so for me, when I discovered the word Jigyasa, it was only through that movie.
Oh wow.
Uh,
Okay.
so I didn't know until then that a word called Jigyasa existed. So I kind of, it kind of really and neatly encapsulated the spirit of what I was looking for. So I was always been very curious there.
Uh-huh.
So in that sense, it just felt right to name the consulting firm also in a Jigyasa, because it is a slightly an open-ended exploratory way of solving certain problems,
Makes sense. Mm.
uh, which picks up a lot of models and stories from various schools of thought, various philosophical
Right.
streams,
Mhm.
and then come up with an approach which is very bespoke
Mhm.
to solve some of the problems that my friends who happen to be clients have.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Interesting.
so so that's so that excite the I mean, to answer your question, the I would say what made me stay full time was Jigyasa.
Quite relatable. So, but see, a lot of people usually want to step in, right,
Hmm.
into doing something of their full time. Uh, though you're, uh, though you probably you would have felt secure in making the idea firm to make it to go into it full time. But there are a lot of people who have fear, right? I'm not sure whether you had. But let's say if somebody has a fear to go full time, what he should be taking care of things. For example, he is doing a job and he wants to get into full time. Then, according to what has been your experience in that area, what would you recommend?
So first of all, you should examine the fear. I wouldn't dismiss any fear as unreal. I mean, of course, fear has a certain element of imaginary because it is a response of what happens to your body based on certain perceptions. So there is a unrealistic aspect of the fear, but what is worth exploring is looking inward and trying to understand the source of that fear.
Okay.
So one, to me, I was as afraid as one gets as anyone else, and it is as afraid. I mean the nearest analogy that I can think of is just before you step into a cold water bath. It's as it can be as mundane as it, and it can be as profound as it as well. So I'm not trying to be philosophical here, but my essential point is, if somebody is saying be courageous and there's no such thing as fear, he's deluded.
Right.
There is fear, and that fear has a valid reason. But the point is, you overcome fear only by discovering something that is much, much beyond fear. Right. So it's like the one of the things that I hold as a barometer is you should never quit when you have a fear of quitting.
Makes sense.
You should quit when what you're going to get is far more infinitesimally important than which makes you feel like that what you're seeking for is far more important than than this little bit of tingling sensation of fear that kind of makes you feel slightly nervous and creates a tinkle in your stomach. So you should never quit when there is fear. You should quit when there is far more. I mean, that's what I mean. If I were to, I mean, I hate to give advice because each one's life is unique, and I would be damned if anyone takes any of my words seriously and implements it there without really testing it out. So I would urge. I can only share what is true to my life. In my life, I realized after a point that I cannot anymore stay longer in a job because I couldn't relate with the job.
Makes sense.
So when that happened, quitting was just as obvious as my next exhaling breath.
Wow. Basically, a purpose that you found.
I don't know. Purpose, is there any other purpose other than living? We have added a lot of glamour and glitz to purpose. Yeah. So I realize that far more beauty lies in the very fact of living than in purposing. So I have always enjoyed living there, and I have always been inspired by people who show me the infinite ways of living, so that excites me, and I've been very lucky to meet such amazing people in my life, and partly where I am today owes a lot to some of those people.
Wow, wonderful. And the kind of initiatives that you have come across gives you the access of fame, I feel. Right?
Gives you access of what? Sorry, I couldn't catch your last word.
Access of same kind of people that you're looking forward to associate. Right?
Okay. Are you asking this question, or are you saying I didn't get your?
I was acknowledging it. I was acknowledging it.
Okay.
Right. So basically, what I understand what you said is, you're looking forward to definitely explore different areas, different people, right? And the initiative that we have come across, we are talking about Jigyasa as well as Mandram, where you get to meet so many people that inspires you all the time. Right?
Yeah. So, it's more about so some of these, uh, how do I put it? See, if you don't, if you're really urging for something, you try and invent something that will help you fulfill those urges, right?
Correct.
So that's pretty much where what led me to there, and I realized that I was seeking a certain kind of inspiration there, and so whatever I was searching for, whatever that became out of birth, that was birthed out of those, where
Mhm,
came out of those urges there. So
mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So in a
wonderful.
way, these are very very personal urges that sort of took shape in whatever shape they took.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. So let us understand, both the initiative with Jigyasa and Mandram. Probably you can, help us to know, understand a little bit more about both of them.
So I first started Mandram
Okay.
with my friend Maggie.
Mhm,
She's a very dear friend of mine, and
mhm.
she and I met like you and I did, like over an internet, over common thread of internet,
Wonderful. Haha.
uh, and we realized that we both share a passion for languages.
Wow.
So she, uh, we started talking about languages, and so we used to do these. I was at that kind of phase around 2017. I was in a phase
Mhm,
where I realized very sadly that I'm far more fluent in English than my mother tongue.
mhm, mhm. Okay. Okay.
So that made me, made me very uncomfortable,
Mhm,
and I was desperately trying to amp up my, knowledge and my fluency in my native tongue.
okay. Mhm.
So I started doing so. This friend came, and we started doing weekend Skype readings of ancient Tamil literature.
Wow. Okay.
So out of such, one such weekend, we were reading something,
Mhm.
and then we, uh, just can you just give me a moment? I need to.
Sure.
There's a call coming. I need to keep the phone
Sure.
away.
Sure.
Can you just
Sure.
pause?
Sure.
Sorry, where was I? Yeah. So
Hmm.
I had started this weekend reading sessions, and it was during one weekend reading session we discussed this idea of a TED-like platform for real native languages.
Okay.
You know,
Mhm,
although although TED was opening up in regional languages and all of that, but we realized that there is a space for a very niche set of forum where you could explore a lot of what's happening around us in a native tongue without really, you know, glamorizing it or hero worshipping the inventor or
okay.
anyone who's in the stage.
Mhm,
So, and
mhm.
have very deep authentic conversations about various aspects that impact our lives.
Wow. Okay.
So that's was the intent behind Mandram. So
Mhm,
we realized that just like I had this discomfort about not knowing my mother tongue as deep enough as
mhm,
English.
mhm, mhm.
Because let's face it, I did study in a in a fairly westernized education system, and I suppose everyone here in India who are my age would share the same kind of concern probably, but I don't know.
Mhm,
So that prioritize, I know it at some point of time I almost got lost touch with my native tongue,
mhm.
with my Tamil, with my roots.
Uh-huh.
So I was in a state of exploring these questions, and so when this opportunity came up, we decided to host this event in a
Wow.
way
Okay.
that would sort of rekindle this love to learn in our own native tongue. You know,
Wow. Okay. Okay.
like for instance,
That's
today
great.
you and I can speak very comfortably in
Right.
about whatever things in English,
Correct.
but I'm not too sure whether we can talk with as much fluency. Let's say when we are talking about anything related to do with religion or technology or anything in our
Correct.
mother tongue,
Right. Right.
right?
Mhm.
So that was the sort of the germ of the idea of Mandram that we started. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And how about Jigyasa?
Jigyasa is was born. It's almost a year now.
Mhm,
So in around September 2019, I decided to quit.
mhm,
So I wanted to start a consulting firm, which
mhm,
will take care of my my bills and all
mhm,
the other financial needs. and help me, keep. I mean, my aim wasn't to build yet another big four company or a big
Uh-huh.
consulting firm.
Uh-huh.
My
Uh-huh.
aim was to build a certain economic model structure, which
Mhm.
will help me keep going and help me explore things that I really want to do.
Wow. Okay.
So
Mhm.
to me, consulting is a sort of an arrangement that I have that will take care of my financial needs with minimal time
Mhm.
commitments,
Uh-huh.
and also do deep meaningful work that goes far beyond the necessary realms of ensuring that you have to make money. So that was the first for me. Creating a consulting organization, and growing it up in scale was never in my agenda.
Wow. Okay.
So it was a
Wonderful.
small bespoke organization that
Mhm.
helped me do meaningful work. Let
Wow.
me put it
Wonderful.
this way.
Wonderful. What I understand is, Venki, you are very clear in terms of what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people are probably a little confused. The
Mm-hmm.
end goal is not there. So what I've seen is most of the people are they're trying few things, and then, trial and error method, that is what we call. Try
Mm.
to gain experience, but not reaching out to the end result that they are looking for. You are very clear. I mean, that's what I realized just now, that you have this consulting firm just to make sure that you're taking care from financial perspective, and you're actually focusing on the things which really want to live about. Is that correct? And how would you probably put this in your words, that the clarity of how do you identify the clarity of what you want, and how do you choose the right vehicle?
See, uh, I was very lucky to be sort of grow up in a milieu which emphasized a lot on discovering oneself.
Okay.
Uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
that influenced a lot of my thinking in terms
Mhm.
of emphasize understanding first, trying to discover oneself, and that was a very very huge influence in my upbringing. I was put into yoga schools
Mhm.
in very early ages,
Mhm.
and I learned a bit of yoga,
Mhm.
and I still practice yoga,
Wow.
although it's been now several years there, and some of these tools have helped me discover uh, myself slightly more better. I wouldn't say I have really fully understood,
Mhm.
uh, but to a certain extent, I would say it has helped me uh, separate, the wheat from the chaff.
Okay. Okay.
So
Right.
so
Mhm.
that I think has been a very very influential for me in the choices that I have made, and
Mhm.
in the way I wanted my life to be in a certain way.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Wonderful. What would you recommend to people who are still looking to find their own maybe a goal? What would you recommend them? How can one find something that they can probably go for, achieve?
Mm, I don't know. I don't have ready-made answers. One has to go through the motions of life.
Uh-huh.
Shit every morning and sleep in the night. Go through the rituals, and go through the motions of life.
Uh-huh.
Both metaphorically and literally, and then arrive at where one has to go. I really don't have a clear answer. I mean. Uh,
Um,
so it reminds me of this beautiful dialogue I heard yesterday in
uh-huh.
Anubhav Sinha's movie.
Uh-huh.
Anubhav Sinha has released this movie called Ludo in Netflix.
I heard about
Uh,
it. Yeah.
yeah, so it has a very beautiful dialogue, and
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna throw that dialogue at you if you don't mind
Please.
my Hindi.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
सवाल सवाल पूछते हो जलेबी और नहीं सवाल पूछते हो जलेबी और जवाब चाहिए कलाकंद.
Oh my goodness. I have to rethink now. What amazing. Phenomenal.
So I loved it.
Absolutely.
I loved that dialogue. I mean, this guy has a musical ear, and Anubhav Sinha's work is beautiful.
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, I had some problems with the film, but overall,
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed it. But yeah, you don't really. have clear answers for these questions. One has to go through the circumlocutor's route of living, and then I stumble. I have stumbled. I have made several mistakes in my life. I have
Wow.
never arrived. I shudder to think that I have arrived, and I shudder to think that I have settled. I have so many more open-ended questions for which I have no clear answers. So for me, it's an exploration that is happening every moment.
Wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
what you are asking me and what we are discussing is where I am right now. Tomorrow I might not be here at this stage, and tomorrow I might not really sound as much clear as probably as I am perhaps sounding.
Wow, wonderful. Wonderful. That actually gives us a perspective that you're looking, and it's better to be looking always. Wonderful.
Yeah, we have no other choice, no.
Correct. Absolutely. Right. I would like to emphasize in a couple of things that once you uh, come into a domain of being yourself, being the
Mhm.
you're not accountable to somebody else in terms of getting a paycheck or things like that, and you're free. You kind of tend to get influenced as well as influence a lot of people. Networking. I'm coming to networking, right? So networking is really important these days. Really, really important. That's what I feel. And you never know once you meet and where the story goes on from here onwards. And obviously, you would have built a great network so far. Two things I would like to ask from you. First is how did you build a great network? What are the best practices that you learned while networking and to maintain your network?
First of all, I don't think I don't I'm not too sure whether I have built a network. I
Uh-huh.
have been only net playing. Uh,
Wonderful. Uh-huh. Okay,
so
that's
I have
interesting.
been playing, and it's like uh, when we are kids, mothers used to, whenever guests come home, mothers would ask the kids to come and do some stuff for the kids. you
Right.
so, and I used to hate it when I was a child, but but we would still, the kids would be parents would be so excited to show what kids have in store, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So pretty much, uh, you know, it's a kind of a play kind of a space that has largely influenced how I do these things.
Mhm.
Uh, I have been blogging since 2007.
Wow,
Uh,
13 years. That's
so
nice. Uh-huh.
I and what one of the best thing that happened I realized is I never blog for sake of getting followers,
Mhm. Mhm.
for sake of building a network. I only
Right.
blogged
Right.
because I was discovering something new
Mhm.
for myself.
Mhm. Mhm.
So uh, so that has helped me immensely, because
Wow.
it's
Okay.
like, it's a fundamental, the anecdote that I often give is,
Mhm.
whenever you go to have you had tender coconut?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Uh-huh.
have you, if you ever go to a shop
Mhm.
and ask for a tender coconut,
Mhm.
I mean, since I work in agriculture, I'll give you one basic tip. The one
Uh-huh.
basic tip of of getting a best tender coconut is, you'd
Mhm.
never get tender coconut from the one that has a lot of the tender coconut. I mean, you never get a good tender coconut from one that has a lot of water.
Okay. Okay.
You
Uh-huh.
always
Uh-huh.
get a tender coconut from one that has amazing, what do you call as the uh, I'm forgetting the term here. Malai. How do you
Ah,
say it?
Malay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
yeah. So
Correct.
you
Correct.
always
Correct.
get
Uh-huh.
you always get the best tender coconut to drink when
Uh-huh.
you ask for the best
Malay.
Malai.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Correct. Yeah.
You get what I mean? You get what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes. 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 Absolutely. I've had it.
So
Yeah. 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 Please continue.
yeah, sorry, there was a bit of I think
Right.
I'm not too sure, the network is breaking it. Yeah,
You're
sorry.
fine now. Yeah.
So likewise, you can never do networking if you set
Mhm.
out to do networking.
Okay. Great perspective. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I have learned this and I have tested this out over the last 13 years of blogging. Whatever I have learned about myself, I've kept sharing, and I shared primarily because I was discovering something new for myself.
Wow.
So primarily, I was doing my self education through the process of writing
Okay. Okay.
and discovering various things about myself through the process of writing.
Wow. Okay.
That
Nice.
that helped in creating powerful relationships.
Okay.
That has been very, very useful. That has
Mhm.
been, I mean, I wouldn't say even useful. That has been very, very life changing for me in the
Wonderful.
relationship that got built.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Wonderful.
I would say never ever emphasize on networking. If you're doing
Mhm.
if you're doing anything that remotely sounds like networking, you're doing it wrong.
In fact, I love the word relationships. That's, I think, is the right word to put it across, I would feel.
Yeah, I
Building
mean,
right
see, when we
relationships.
are living in a connected
Mhm.
world, the last thing you would want to do is do networking.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful.
So,
That's a nice perspective. Wonderful. Thanks for that, Venki. Right. So, I mean, you are in an area where definitely a lot of focus goes into self growth, self development. Right. You're always uh,
mhm.
in search to get the best out of yourself. Uh, what do you do for that in general? I know you read stuff, you write stuff. What else?
Yoga has been a very useful tool for me.
Hmm. Okay.
uh, I've been practicing yoga for learning yoga and practicing yoga.
Okay.
So again, yoga is too big a broader term these days, and oftentimes confused with exercise,
Uh-huh.
which is not. Which is
Mhm.
so primarily my toolkit to discover myself have been yoga and writing.
Mhm.
Uh, what else? And yeah, I think that's pretty much both are inner work, if you ask me.
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, and that is primarily what I has helped me so far in my whatever I've explored so
Wonderful, wonderful. So, any kind of mentorship that you have ever received and something that you cherish about?
far. Mentorship, I don't know if I could call it mentorship, but
Mhm.
there are some people whom you come across in life and who sort of disrupt your semblance of reality.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
So those are such people where I would call them as I mean, mentor comes from the word Telemachus in Greek mythology. It comes from the he was looking up to. I mean I'm not getting the exact details right, but what I remember is he the young Telemachus seeks this Greek person, I think, who has his name something that resembles to mentor or mentoring, mentors
Okay.
or something,
Okay. Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
he seeks advice,
Uh-huh.
and that mentorship, and that's how the word history of the word mentor came. The word
Okay.
mentor came.
Mhm. Uh-huh.
So ultimately, if you boil down mentor to giving advice, I think that's a
Mhm.
very, very wrong way of doing it, because ultimately you're
Correct.
only trying to create.
Right.
You're only if you're going to need a mentor as a crutch to get some advice,
Mhm.
then both both the mentor is screwed and the
Mentor,
mentee
mentee.
is screwed.
Right. Uh,
So how does then one do mentoring
uh-huh.
without giving advice?
Correct. Uh-huh. Mhm.
So that very few people, I think, have been able to really give me a very, very satisfactory exploration there, and that comes when they are living a certain life that you feel like inspired and you feel like trying to learn,
Wow.
you know
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
so I have only looked up to a few mentors whose ways of living have inspired me and touched me, and primarily one person is a farmer.
Oh, wow.
So naturally, which led me to in the way of agriculture that has helped me so far. So yeah, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. In fact, getting back to the same thing that initially that you mentioned, that something inspired to get yourself into agriculture, right?
Hmm.
Uh, that's where the base of the entire country is right now. But probably I would like to understand more insights on what else inspired you to get into agriculture. One more I got just now about person, a mentor in your life, but what else?
Uh, See, agriculture was one domain that has been in my mind for a very very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I had always, when I was so I met this mentor of mine who was a farmer when
Uh-huh.
I was in my B school.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
uh, like unlike many B schoolers who dreamt of joining big companies, and there after
Mm-hmm.
seeing
Right.
him I realized how exciting it must be to be a farmer.
Wow. Okay. That's the first time.
So
That's
sorry.
the first time I'm hearing from an MBA graduate. Trust me, that perspective. But it's really, please go on.
Yeah, I after seeing it had to do with the person whom I had met,
Uh-huh.
who was a farmer and
Right.
who
Right.
happened to come and teach us a course,
Mm-hmm.
which sort of blew my mind.
Wow.
And I know I often end up talking about him in various other places also sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
such is the impact he created in my life, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So this person was a farmer, and I had it really scales are removed out of my eyes, because we
Mm-hmm.
have these ideas and notions about a farmer,
Correct.
and we
Right.
have some various ideas and notions about farms that we've learned from Bollywood movies or any other movies.
I swear.
uh, and then when you really enter a farm,
Mm-hmm.
and when you see what farmers do,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I mean, I'm talking about farmers who choose to be farmers, and
Mm-hmm.
who are not are not farmers out of birth or compulsions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm
Right.
talking about such
Right.
those farmers. I'm not talking about farmers
Correct.
who are born in
Correct.
a family of farmers and doing.
Correct.
I'm talking about
Uh-huh.
people who've chosen to be farmers.
Wow. Okay.
So
Okay.
so I for a long time I thought I would be a farmer. I would
Mm-hmm.
I started looking aspiring to become a farmer.
Wow. Okay.
uh, and so that, but obviously, like middle class families, you have you have loans, you have bills to
Right.
finish, and
Mm-hmm.
and and so I started, while I like kept that seed alive.
Mm-hmm.
I started, visiting farms and weekends,
Mm-hmm.
traveling to various farms, meeting various
Mm-hmm.
kinds of farmers,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
kept that seed alive
Uh-huh.
while doing a regular consulting work and
Uh-huh.
all sort of things.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So at some stage, I realized that uh, in my own life context, becoming a full-time farmer or becoming a farmer, wasn't really was becoming too difficult to maneuver through. So I
Mm-hmm.
decided to do the next best thing, that is this work in agriculture, so that at least I
Mm-hmm.
can maintain that relationship. you know
Wow. Okay.
it's
Okay.
like, in college days, whenever you find that your girlfriend is part of a particular club, at least you end up being going a part of that club.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
I realized that it was getting extremely difficult for me to be a farmer. So I thought I'll at least do the next best thing, which is to work in agriculture. And since I
Mhm.
knew a little bit of technology, I thought that's the best place to really test if I knew anything
Wonderful.
about technology in the
Mhm.
first place, let
Correct.
alone, see if I could learn something new in agriculture. So that's
Mhm.
how it started for me.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. In fact, what I can understand that it requires a lot of meeting people and making sure you're clear on even making things work out. So how being you're self-employed and you're already running your own farm. Currently, how is your 24 hours looks like?
I wish I could have a very clear answer for this.
We would like to hear
It's
that because this is something which is really curious for everybody. Is kind of different, but we'd like to hear from you. How do you?
See, my day starts very early.
Uh,
It starts typically around 4:30 to 5,
wow, that early.
uh,
Okay.
and that's my body clock wakes up. I mean, I don't set an alarm. I hate alarms.
Really?
Uh,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Uh,
I mean, you don't need alarms if you ask me. Uh,
nice.
so I wake up 4:35 as when my body wakes me up,
Uh-huh.
and it's not again like I have to wake up at 4:35.
Mhm,
Some days I do sleep longer, but typically my day starts around that time.
mhm,
Then I do my yoga practice,
mhm.
and then I typically get on if the you know if my stars are lucky. By stars are lucky, I mean if my son is sleeping, I end up writing some more. I start with my day with my writing.
Wow. Okay.
These days I don't, with a 2-year-old toddler at home, I don't have the luxury of
Right.
deciding upfront what my day is going to be. So I
Right.
am pretty much replace the boss that I used to have with my 2-year-old toddler.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
uh, and actually, if you think about it, he's the best boss to have in your world, because he expects you to work less.
Uh-huh.
uh, and this boss wants you to keep playing with him, obviously. And this boss has absolutely no other expectations from you. He wants you to be happy and he wants you to
Wonderful.
keep playing. So I realized that having this 2-year-old toddler as my boss was very good for me. So I pretty much decide my work schedule based on when he sleeps and when he wakes up,
Mhm,
because I
mhm.
like to spend a lot of time with him, and I like to do hands-on parenting.
Mhm.
uh,
Wow.
and I don't prefer to outsource parenting in
Mhm.
many other ways, which we typically tend to do. Uh, so that's how typically my day starts with writing, and then I let the day decide what kind of how it's going to be based
Yeah.
on where my boss is.
That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard about how to how to define a boss. Trust me. This I'm gonna for sure I'm gonna highlight it. Wonderful. Thanks for that, Venki. And having said that, day goes as things come up, and you take the charge of it, right? I would like to understand the family part of family part of you. See, for me, you're a person who seems like literally living a life, and that's what we started with. And
Trust
trust
me,
me.
grass is always greener.
But I would like to understand from you that obviously the when you're doing something of your own, you have left certain commitments from somewhere and you're taking new commitments. How this home environment matters a lot into being self-employed.
So first of all, to set the context,
Mhm.
my wife used to work in Amazon in Seattle.
Wow, wow.
And for various reasons she decided to come back to
Uh-huh.
India, and
Mhm.
we got married, and
Uh-huh.
she decided to quit and explore
Mhm.
yoga. So she's a yoga teacher right now.
Oh my God.
uh,
Okay, okay.
so she's also an independent yoga professional.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
uh, and so that means having a shared Google Calendar, which was where we know each other's time and
Mhm.
schedule, and
Right.
juggle parenting and work accordingly.
Okay, okay, okay.
So that's how life is when you are a parent, and
Mhm.
you are self-employed, and you
Mhm.
have a partner who is also self-employed.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, it's
Wonderful.
it's
Uh-huh.
beautiful and it's challenging in many ways.
Uh-huh.
So it's pretty much been a ball juggling exercise.
Mhm.
you know
Mhm.
when somebody throws a ball, you rush in and you do something else, and then the other person throws the ball, you pick up your own ball and you start throwing your
Right.
own balls. And at
Right.
some
Right.
point of time, you realize that you are doing this ball juggling exercise
Mhm. Mhm.
with multiple people,
Uh-huh.
and then and to a point of it that you start enjoying it. And so yeah, pretty
Right.
much
Right.
pretty much we do. That's how we have shared calendars, so we know each of us is going to get into meetings,
Mhm.
and then based on that we plan our day and things go by. So that's it's been challenging, it's been tough.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's never been rosy at all.
Mhm.
There's a lot of uncertainty.
Mhm.
I definitely don't want anyone to think it's all hunky dory and rosy. uh,
Right.
it is very challenging. It can
Uh,
be unnerving, because
mhm.
it in the kind of work that I do, it's very hard for me to put a time bound of how much time it will take.
Correct. Correct.
You know? In most of the work that I did before, I could at least say that, I can get this deck done. As consultants, we loved making decks. I mean, whether we
Right.
loved or not, we had to make decks.
Right.
So, at least I could get a sense of how much time it would take. But these days, I pretty much that has been by my learning also. So, how do I structure my work? And so I really look at that question very, very deeply in terms of
Wow.
how do I structure my attention? How do my I realized that I've tried everything. I've tried from bullet notes to different productivity systems to everything, and I've realized that structuring my attention is far more important than structuring my work.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's a good insight.
So I do what sorry.
That's a great insight, actually.
So I do whatever it takes to structure my attention, and then I try and do the work in the shortest period of time.
Wonderful.
So and that has been the prerogative ever since I became unemployed. That any work should be done in the shortest period of time, so that because you never know when your son is going to knock the door or barge in the door. So I do sort of have strict work hours, but
Uh-huh.
I try in my best to see I can wrap things fast. So that brings a lot of variability, and there I'm overly simplifying things to you here,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, you get the drift, I guess.
I got it. I got it. Definitely. And in fact, I get the context that you actually it's basically about the attitude. Challenges are
Hmm.
there. Definitely, challenges are there. I mean, it's better that it comes. Uh, Sometimes you obviously you take it the other way, but definitely that makes you stronger, right? And I would like to understand a couple of challenges that probably 3 or 4 challenges that you faced since last couple of years that you are happy to overcome or happy to thank God they came, and that's where your growth was there.
They came as in, okay, got it, all right. So for me, there were certain areas of life where I realized that I didn't have enough time because of the kind of work I do. I didn't have
Uh-huh.
enough time for me to do some of those things well, you know.
Okay.
And I those things I was very consciously I decided to outsource.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Like for instance, I realized that you know coming from a typical middle class family backgrounds, which largely relied on which meant that financial independence was largely about putting money in FDs. So coming
Mhm.
from that kind of
Mhm.
a traditional mindset to discover financial independence and discover financial wisdom in a
Mhm.
way that is attuned to the times was
Mhm.
becoming a big stumbling block for me in terms of to keeping up with all the things that are happening in the financial world.
Right. Right.
So
Mhm.
I realized that I had to invest far more time than required to really get to the bottom of it and get to be the best that I can be, at least for my
Mhm.
own financial well-being.
Okay.
But since I
Okay.
didn't have that much of time, so I decided to hire a financial advisor.
Oh. Okay. Uh-huh.
So that has been, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a stumbling block, but that has been a sort of a learning for me. And I so for it might seem like when you are self-employed, why do you want to hire a financial advisor? But I do find a lot of value in organizing my financial life, because I live in a life of great uncertainty in work.
Correct.
so
Correct.
so it made sense to bring in certain sense of certainty in certain areas of finance
Areas
and
of life.
other aspects. So that was one
Mhm.
challenge that I overcome simply by outsourcing it to somebody who is far more
Wonderful.
wiser than me. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. Other than that, stumbling blocks have I stumble and then I learn. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if any other way you could learn to move out of stumbling block,
Correct.
other than stumbling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nice. Wonderful. In fact, I would like to. This has been really interesting. For me, it was the first time that I'm actually learning about more of how to live, and more than what it takes to get self-employed probably. And I'm really impressed with the kind of the mindset that you are living with, right? That basically covers up all the areas of life, right? And I would like to understand and probably get an insight from you that what message that you would like to share with the people who would want to be self-employed. They are not currently not, but they want to.
I don't know if self-employed should be an idealized state. It is
Okay.
one way of working. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
See, at the end of the day, in life, my mentor once said, uh, in some parts of life, you choose certainty. You're in your working life, even whether you are unemployed or self-employed or employed under someone,
Mm-hmm.
you take certain parts of life and you add some certainty elements to it, and then you take some parts of work life and you add some uncertainty elements to it.
Okay.
So that is it's like a combination of how much how much save you need to add to poha, or how much. I mean, I'm giving a loose example.
It is that.
So it's up to you to decide how much आपको पोहा में कितना सेवा I mean सेव कितना चाहिए, आपको ही फैसला करना पड़ेगा.
Correct.
So कितना नींबू चाहिए, कितना वो चाहिए, and the work life is pretty much like that. You decide what balance of things you want to have. So if you really think about it, ultimately there's no difference between working for someone and working for your own. You choose what elements of certainty you want to have in your work life, and you design your work life accordingly. It can be by working with someone else, and it can be by working for your own self. For me, I have arrived at this combination of work that helps me do what things I like to do.
Wonderful.
So I would never, first of all, glorify self-employment as the most thing. Today, it is helpful, in the given kind of times we live in. It helps, because I realize today when I look at few of my friends and some of my close ones, they tend to be working a lot.
Correct. They do.
And I don't think remote working has solved that problem. Remote working has made people work more. So if that's what you want, yeah, perhaps go for it. And or if you think that no, I don't want to work for long, I want to work for less, then you'll have to be okay with some other uncertainties there.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, it's like this Tetris game of these various blocks that are falling in. You need to design how do you want to fit the holes which are important for you, and then keep moving. So I would never shudder to think of a message for someone who wants to. I mean, except living the life which is itself is the message.
Wonderful, Venki. That's the crux, I think. Thank you so much for your insight, Venki. I had a wonderful time, and obviously the kind of the ideologies that you have shared with us today, and it's gonna help a lot of people. Definitely, I'm sure.
Yeah. Although I'm not too sure if it can be called as an ideology, but yeah.
I like the clarity. In fact, Venki, there's a different perspective that you bring in, and I've been talking to a lot of people who probably will get some help from that perspective.
I'm glad if it could be of help.
Thanks a lot, Venki. Thanks a lot for coming on the channel, and have a wonderful time.
Thank you. You enjoy Sunday.
Thank you so much.